I'll give it just a few seconds, just in case it takes a delay
Yep,
to get started. But
we should be live already.
all right, let me know if out there watching you can see the screen. We can go ahead and get started with the afternoon. Maybe you can put in the chat that you can see us and hear us. We're not quite sure. We know there's a bit of a delay to get started on this. So don't want to start too soon.
I think Rafael can see us on LinkedIn. He posted a comment.
Right on. So cool. I think we can go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everybody for joining our webinar on test automation in Dynamics 365 FSCM for business and operational perspective. Really want to focus on that aspect this evening and talk about what you actually can expect to encounter whenever you're trying to set up a test automation for D365 FSCM. So I'm Jacob Davis. I'm joined today by a few others who I'm actually quite excited to hear from today. In a couple of minutes, I'll introduce them. Before we get started, I'll be the moderator, so want to do a few housekeeping items. We have the Q&A and the chat turned on, so feel free to ask questions in there as we go along. We're going to save some time at the end to do a Q&A and actually answer some specific questions. Of course, we'll be recording this as well, and so we'll make sure you guys get a copy of this, and we'll follow up with anybody who had asked a question that we didn't get a chance to answer. And we'll be sending those out to the emails that you registered to this with, or the links through LinkedIn that you registered with. So the information you provided there, don't forget to check there to make sure that you can receive the recording of this video, of this webinar. So also, this will be on YouTube, so subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, give us a thumbs up and turn on notifications. It's a great way to stay up to date. We really try to keep it up to date with things that we're trying to do as a company as far as test automation goes, and it's a good place to just refer to and get some new information on what's going on. With that said, we can move on to the agenda and a bit of an introduction of who's going to be participating today. I've got Mateusz Łukowiec with me, and he is actually one of the people that is involved heavily with each customer who is going through a test automation project. And so he's got some insights to share with us tonight. And we've also got a bit of a surprise plan, a little bit I'll get to in the agenda. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. On the other hand, we've also got Bartosz Śpiech, and Bart is our product manager, as well as somebody who is just one of the most important people when it comes to any type of test automation that you need to talk to, because he has been around the world doing trainings and talking to different folks in huge organizations about test automation. So he'll be here to help us out tonight as well. So uh, Bart will start with a quick overview of Executive Automats, which is a test automation solution, and it's what we use for our projects. And he'll show basically the idea behind that and how it works. Give a quick example that'll lead into a different section, which is how you can actually convert your business processes into test cases, which is quite a philosophical area that we approach it from, is that the business processes should be used to create the test cases. After that, we've got a bit of a role play situation where all three of us will be involved, as well as a few other team members, to actually show what this will look like from a test cycle planning situation. It's really important to kind of have some expectations set for that. And we'll finish up with a Q&A session in which myself, Mateusz, and Bart will answer questions that you've sent along to us. So with that said, I'll turn it over to somebody much smarter than myself, the star of the show. Bart, it's always great to hear from you, buddy. I really can't wait. So.
Yeah, I'm always flattered about your introductions. Thank you so much, Jake,
You
for
deserve it.
Yeah, welcome everybody on the another session. This will be quite unique, and we always like to do new content, especially content which is demanded by the market. And following what Jacob outlined in introduction, I'm going to focus now on the executive automats overview. To just give you a brief feeling, this will be not a deep dive demo. This will be just ideas what you can think of, expect from executive automats. So I'm logged inside of executive automat. This is one of our presentation instance, and I'm actually in the scripts module where I see all processes defined. In here, you can actually identify executive automats as one centralized platform where you've got your all test cases, where you've got your all environments defined. Practically, you define here dev, UAT, pre-release, release, any other environment you've got in your deployment, and then recording a test case on one environment. Just by changing parameter, we can just deploy it anywhere else. So test another environment and with another user as well. Users are one of the parameters as well. So we can imagine that you can record test cases on one set of security roles and play it against another set of security roles. Other benefits, and there are a lot of benefits we're going to talk about today. So this is the script module. We've got also projects. Projects, these are aggregation levels. So we can say we are trying to give you as much as possible granulation level to know what you test, what is the scope for your testing. So as you see here, we've got accounts payable, receivables, end-to-end scenarios. So when you are thinking about a test case, when you're saving it, it is good to sort of plan it, save it underneath some specific place. Then you modify posting profile. You can run all processes from the specific module. You do modification to fixed assets, or a new regulation comes and changes drastically the transactions. We can simply outline which areas can be affected and run quick tests. Be agile, be smart, and then react quickly on some possible danger. So projects, they are for aggregation, but the projects also, they are giving you some ideas where you are testing and what user are going to be used for testing. So this gives you some potential when it comes to simplification of knowledge transfer. In other words, we want to, one of the biggest ideas behind the executive automats was to engage business users, because we know that business users, they are super frustrated about testing overall. They don't want to test. This is one of the top elements they've got on the pile of other stuff they have to do. And we want to just simplify their life, especially on the testing area. So we want to embed in here as much as decisions which you have to take, which environment, what user, what security roles, and so on, so on. So the business user don't care. They are just going inside of executive automats. They are recording the test case. They are clicking save, and the test manager takes over that, or tester, so-called super user of executive automats, takes over that, and he continues the story simply to refine the test case, to apply some elements like number series and so on. The key focus on the execution of the test case is so-called reusability. We believe that the test automation works only when your test cases recorded once can be executed tens, hundreds of times without your adjustments. Only then the test automation has a sense. Only then dealing with one version update is some kind of a predictable story with us. So this is the project section. So projects which are embedding scripts and the scheduler, a planner functionality that gives you the chance to simply run the test case on a certain moment of the day. So I can plan Friday evening execution to verify the complexity in the very complex way if the environment works. You can define here some performance tests, smoke tests, regression tests, depending on your circumstances. You can define here different execution. The documentation section here, on the other hand, this is one place where you see all documents created from the processes. So we are right now touching something like a byproduct, and another advantage you've got using this approach. So you record test case. The test case can be converted to documentation, which on one hand can be an evidence of testing that you've done the test on that day with a certain result. For regulatory industries, aviation, pharmacy, and so on, military, this might be critical asset, and this is something we are very often using in that day in those areas. And around everything what you see in here, documentation history, there are also some limitations when it comes to security access. So to get inside, you have to have your own account. You have to have actually access to project scripts or scheduler. So there are some potential functionalities to make sure that the users, which are supposed to see only specific test case, they'll be able to see them. Plus, another advantage, due to the fact that we are hosted on cloud, you are not installing anything on Dynamics side. This is everything is purely outside, hosted at a separate platform, and you are connecting to Dynamics by our proxying method. All right, let's see how easy it is to create a test case. To combine this test case with our role play we're going to have in a few moments, I'm going to create something dedicated for accounts receivable, and we're going to create sales order creation. Naming convention, something very simple but giving a lot of value. This is something we also are giving. This is not only the tool, these are series of workshops where you are able to gain knowledge regarding naming conventions, building the strategy about the testing. And actually, today's role play is about the strategy and then the execution of the test cycles to help you out. Okay, name, sales order. As mentioned, we are not touching the environment of each user. This comes from the project. So as a business user, I don't need to care about so much about these details. I can simply record. When we are recording, right-hand side, a panel which helps me to identify all elements we already recorded. Everything that we're going to do is going to be listed on the right-hand side. I can simply click record and navigate through the sales order creation. So let's click new. Let's define the customer. Let's define the product. And everything that you select within the recording, every decision of yours can be modified. So if you created customer, if you selected customer 033, in here I can click plus and edit that to any other customer that exists. So on the right hand side, I've got a full access to the context, to the data they selected. So it is very flexible and intuitive to adjust your test case, even if you've done some mistakes. If you've done some additional actions you don't need, you can always deactivate them. So the recording will be clean. And when we've got everything that we wanted, we can click save. The line is here, so I can go to the header. On the header line, on the header view, I can see the status and open order. So I can then also navigate, actually I'm in sales, so I can confirm the sales order. So it will automatically change the status. So this will be the end of the process, 19 steps. And as a result, we've got, actually here, document status is confirmation. I can click on the field and make a verification. So this is all about checking the results. We are caring about few aspects, the stability, so we can say the happy path execution. Secondly, we are caring about the negative test. So we want to see how system fail. If it is error message, that's positive for us. This is what we expected. We are caring about validation of the results. So if the result is equal to confirmation, only then the status, the test case is ended with success. If not, then a warning message for the end user or the business that the process doesn't actually work as we wanted. So I'm catching this status as a variable, and automatically I'm setting this with a quick validation. If in that moment of the process the status will be confirmation, then continue. If not, then warning. And with that being said, I can simply verify if everything is here. We can say yes. As I was mentioning, you can click edit and edit the data. You can apply some comments, so the process will be more comprehensive. If I'm going to apply here some comments, which warehouse to pick, which site to pick, what main account pick for transaction, I can actually bring a broad context for the person who reads, understands the test case. So the test case can be identified also as knowledge base, as some kind of a description of the process, what to do and how to actually operate. So users can use that for some instruction materials. So on the right-hand side, this is a constant value. Aside of that, I've got a chance to change this data to the data source, so I can create an Excel file, apply to the script. The script can, the sales order can be sort of driven by number of lines in the Excel file. So you can imagine I've got a one Excel with 10 lines. I've got a one test case, and the test case can iterate 10 times to create 10 lines of SO. So basically, you can leverage that simplicity of the Excel file and create also something called a golden processes. What is a golden process? This is an example of one process which is embedded in multiple organizations of yours, in multiple entities. Let's imagine you've got 10, 15, 20 or more entities. You can have one Excel file, which each of those lines will address different entity. So you've got one script which goes through whole company, whole organization, and verifies that one by one. So one test case verifies it's all. And these are some concepts we are also showing over the training sessions to make sure that you are using a lot when it comes to reusability, when you are using a lot value of what the automation gives you. Of course, as always, open doors for developers. You can write expressions, you can invoke APIs, REST APIs, all data requests. A lot of is going on here, and this actually can help, but let's keep this more high level, so not focus on this feature so much today. And some other elements like global constants and global variables. This is again for reusability, so I can set for myself 5-10 values we use very frequently over and over for in the scripts. So when I modify that in my dictionary, it is automatically distributed everywhere. So again, quick modification to the process. Let's say the test case is ready. I can click player, so I can come back to my context, and we can play back the test case from the beginning to the end to check the consistency. So as you see, the player is some kind of a immersed. It is merged with the recorder. Everything goes on. I can pause it. I can on the way pause and switch back to the recorder, so I can add some steps. The user experience in here is optimized we hope in the maximum way. So you are as a business user, you don't need to know a lot about testing. We are just focused on the value you have, the knowledge about the business process. So on the right hand side, you see the execution. It goes on and on, step by step, giving us successes. In that case, we don't expect any warnings in that specific process, but if there's going to be a warning or error message, automatically system identifies that and we can react. System has a full integration with DevOps, so I can automatically create from history of the execution an error an issue on the DevOps side and apply this to developer, or you can simply then follow this to even pipeline integration or test plans integration. So we can say that the Azure DevOps integration is quite heavy and actually quite comprehensive when it comes to the executive elements. After the execution, we can simply close down this page of the recorder. Everything was sent to the main module. In the history, I've got the distribution of the time, how much time we needed for the execution of every step. And actually, in the meantime, I'm going to just run the same process once again in the background with documentation in the video mode, just to show you a few more things. The timestamps of the execution are giving you additional value. They are measuring the performance. And throughout the different projects we are going through for last 6-7 years, where we are operating mostly in 2012, 2009, and finance and operations, we started to do a performance testing. And in finance and operations, due to the fact that the cloud is highly scalable, we were able to provide very nice scalability test to see if the environment works when 500 users excuse me, are working the same moment of a day. So we were able to leverage, we were able to simply create a massive amount of transactions on tier 5 environment. And actually, we were able to drag down 6 of 12 AOSs of tier 5 environment to show that the amount of hardware which was prepared for go live was not adequate. So there might be there actually they are significant values for you if you are planning to do a verification, if you are ready for go live from the performance perspective, and then ready from the performance perspective on the rollout. So you do another rollout, you can verify if another chunk of the users will be not reaching that critical level. In the meantime, system is informing us that the test case was executed in the background with a success. So we've got the documentation about the business process. We've got a video, which I can play back for you. This is one of the newest features introduced in version 4.1, which we believe are going to just help you out, bring more and more value from the test automation. So as you see, videos, step-by-step, and documents which are describing the process. So if you're going to imagine executive automats and you're going to place it on the around the Dynamics Finance and Operations, you can think of some benefits around, like you are creating test cases which can be used for testing, for performance testing. You can convert them to documentation, so you are moving a little bit right to the circle, and you are focusing on initial trainings, which are key element of the UATs. Aside of another possible extraction is the security aspect. So our test case that we've got in here can be converted to a role, which will give you access to only those sort of system modules and functionalities that are used in this specific process. So conversion of your processes into the precise role or duty. That's a little bit long process, long topic, and I think if you're going to be interested in identification of your security based on test cases, this is something we can discuss on a subsequent session. Not to touch too much today over this short session, as we've got so much planned. The system actually opened up the documentation on my another monitor, so I'm going to just show you quickly. And this is it. This is the document which was created for verification process as an evidence of testing. So every screenshot is taken. There are highlights of the field utilized, so you know exactly what to do. And if you're going to place some descriptions, this will even more describe what values are set and why they are selected for the transaction. And lastly, the scheduler, we're going to have quickly just dive in on the role play, but I'm going to show you another benefit of running planned execution on a Gantt. So let's do execution of the regression. Let's click add. So we are planning the execution right now. I'm going to select what test cases should be executed. So I can utilize now this aggregation level. So I can tell the system to take all processes from hire to retire, lead to sell, or procure to pay. And thanks to that, I can take them all. And I'll be able to plan the execution, let's say, over the Friday evening. I can change the dates. But on one of the best or most important elements is that I can build the structure and dependencies. And why this is important? Simply, when you are running testing manually on a singular session, you might not get the same result when you were running them in parallel in a few people in the same moment. So in a production situation, when you've got one accountant doing some journal, if they're going to work in a singular way, they will not discover those bugs, which going to happen only when you do 2 or 3 people the same process in the same moment. So that's why it is good to do some parallel tests. That's why it is good to do some dependency tests, because you are just discovering more, especially when you've got the one version policy. It is just keeping a lot of tension on that. So when you've got your structure, when you've got your test cases for execution, you can activate and wait for results. There is much more to show, but as we've got a lot to show you today, we can move on to another key value that we would like to provide you today, which is so-called converting business processes to test cases. I was able to record one test case here, the sales order creation. And if you're going to take a deeper look on the company structure or process tree, in here we've got a aggregation level based on work streams on the top and business areas on the bottom level. So this simply means that our organization has 3 sections: sales, purchases, and warehouse. Underneath them, we've got a different processes. Some processes, they've got their own variants. So thanks to that, I've got identified different number of processes. I know what test cases I need to record to map everything that I need to have to make a full coverage of my testing. We recorded the first one. And I'm going to ask Matt to record the second one, the customer creation. And very often, that's the typical problem organization. We are coming on site to the customers, and they are saying, guys, we don't have documentation. We've got just the business users, which are super afraid of doing this task. They are actually not testing enough. They're actually telling us that they've tested, but they haven't tested, which is creating a significant confusion. And we want to prevent that. We're going to introduce or show you how easy it is to involve a business user. Matt right now will act as the business user as a sales representative, and he will create a customer creation process, and I'll act as the tester or test manager who will refine that test case to make sure that it will align with our best practices regarding the reusability. So Matt, stage is yours. Please show us how easy it is to record an.
Thank you, Bart. I actually removed you a little bit too quickly. Sorry about that. So as Bart was saying, as the test manager, he can just have the business users, such as myself, to go into the tool, the 2 executive automates. He can specify that we should go into the particular sub-project in the tool, and that we should just record a process that will later on be converted to a test case, or maybe even a couple of test cases. So Bart asked me to record the process of customer creation. So I don't need to really know what to select here, because I know that I can just use the defaults. I don't also need to care about what particular name I'm choosing for this script, because my role as the business user is only to record the process. I don't really need to know how to later on modify the script to cover all the different test cases or to do any changes to it. My only role is pretty much to record the process, and for that I don't need to have a big knowledge about the tool. Of course, we often train the business users in the use of executive automates, but this is often the basic training. They sometimes also complete the first level of certification, but that is enough to just be able to record the simple scripts like I have here. So what I'll do is I'll just click on the record, and I will go through the process, because as the business user, I know the process the best, and I can easily record it, and then I can later consult with the test manager or with the testing team about the process. So what should be tested here, whether there are some modifications to the process, some customizations. I can, of course, consult with that with the testing team, but my role here is simply to create the customer. So to go through the process that I do on a daily basis. So I'll just put some unique number here. Let's hope there's no customer with such a number. There's no. And we can also put in some name here. We can call this customer Matt Hatter, and select some customer group here, and then just click save. That's it. That the process. That's the end of the process. That's the end of the customer creation. So I just got logged out of my executive automates instance, but I hope the process actually recorded. But do you see it on your side?
Yes, I'm just refreshing the process. I see it, not completely, but actually, yeah. Let's say, sorry, I've opened up not the exact. So Matt recorded for us the test case for all customers. He went through just the usual as he's usually doing. And from my current responsibilities is to apply the number series for customer name test. Matt said there are just a numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, or in his case 1, 2, 3, and 7, 6 at the end. And if I'm gonna play back the same process as he recorded, the process will fail. Yeah? So I need to apply the sequences for naming, for customer ID, and with that selections, with those elements, this will simply make this process reusable. So Matt recorded once, he was just transferring the knowledge. I'm taking over, I'm setting up everything. He was able to quickly set the status to ready for review, and I can change the status to publish. Thanks to that, I can also export a test case if needed. And then when it is published, we always know that these scripts are verified, they are aligned with our current business process, and if I'm going to execute them, we are expecting that there will be success. So this was the first process we've got, and if you're gonna continue the story, I was able to record it within a few minutes the sales creation. Matt was able to create with another few minutes the customer creation. We can continue to the credit collections. So in about a few hours, we can cover a lot of the processes from the business. And then the question is how complex the modifications to the process are. So how many number sequences, how many different variations in the entities they should be applied. So these elements can create some different variants of the processes, but overall you are building the coverage of your test cases. So when you run your test automation, when you run your regression testing, you are testing every process that you are doing in your organization, which means if they work, you are secured and you can deploy the one version or internal upgrade to finance and operations production. And now, when you've got actually that scenario, when you've got that moment of full coverage, that all test cases are defined and recorded and perfectly statused, we can introduce to you the second role play we prepared for you today, which is how to utilize Azure DevOps in the combination with test automation, which simply means that we can plan an execution of the test cycle in Azure DevOps. We can then have full trackability of the results. So if we're gonna today start with update 48, we're gonna go along to the update 52. Each test cycle, which is belonging to those tests to the upgrade event, they're going to be here. You can always go to look to the past, what happened, what was the hotfix, how many hotfixes we created, what kind of problems we had. So the Azure DevOps, we see it might be applied for very highly regulated industries, and with that very easy approach, I hope you can understand the whole concept, how much value it gives. We're going to have a summary of this process as well at the end, but let's ask Jacob, our program manager. Jacob will today act as a program manager for this activity, and he's going to introduce the entire team for us. Jake has this responsibility as a program manager to introduce the RACI matrix, the responsibility matrix, who will be informed, who act for every business stream. So Jake, carry away, and we're gonna take a look on the epic creation.
Yeah, thanks, Bart. And as he said, I'm a program manager here. So one of the things I'm concerned about is creating this and getting the process started. So one of the very first things that we'll look at is what's coming up in a new upgrade. Often you can find this on this link here that I'm sharing. I hope everybody can see the screen, but it will show the features included in the release. As a program manager, I can look through it and see the different feature areas and the features, of course, some information about it. I can kind of take a look at that, use my knowledge of our application and point out some areas that I think might be of concern, and then go through it. Of course, as you can see, there's accounts receivable, you've got credit collections here, globalization, etc. I'll review the different areas and then go to my team via DevOps, if I can find the correct one here. Yeah, go to Azure DevOps, and what I'm going to look at is backlogs. I've got test cycle planning backlogs that I'll look into. Of course, I want to make sure that I'm filtered for epics, and I'll create a new work item. And I'll name this, oops, sorry, my thumb touched something else here. Test cycle 5, I believe, is good. Once that's created, I can simply go into it and can copy and paste some information in here that's critical that I can share with the team to get everybody motivated and organized and coordinated in this process. First couple things you see are some links. These are the information that I just shared with you, and then other links that I've looked at that have given me information to be able to identify some areas that I think we might want to look into. So I put that within the following release. We're going to want to look at AR, AP, warehouse, procurement agreements, fixed assets, etc. And then below that, of course, I'm going to identify the team who is responsible for handling this. So, for example, for warehouse, we'll use Matt, and for sales, we'll use Rafael. And on top of that, then you want to talk about what's the next steps. If we do identify some things, we'll have a triage step with our developers. And we've got, again, Mateusz, he'll put on a different hat here. And Bart, the test manager, also wants to be involved with that. And one other key thing that I see working with customers is you also need to make sure that all of the data is used, because you often want to use either specific data or unique data needs to be created. And so you want to make sure you have your data manager involved as well. And we've got Peter involved for that. So what I will do here simply is within DevOps, once I've put that in there, everybody will be notified whenever I save and close. And as you can see, it's created test cycle 55. Everybody will get the appropriate notifications and be able to start with the tasks that we've discussed as a team. And I think at this point, Bart, you're going to take over and kind of elaborate a little bit on what happens from this point forward. Yep.
Exactly, yes. Thank you so much, Jake. Indeed, right now I see test cycle 55. I was notified over the email that the event of the testing happened. We have to, it's planned. We have to test certain areas. Rafał and Mateusz, in this moment, as the business area managers, they're actually informed, and they're gonna test they're gonna create a work item for testing the warehouse and the sales area. Inside of those test work items, they can define what exactly they want to test, where they see potential danger. This can come from me as a test manager or for the business if they were informed by the validation team. And thanks to that, when those two items going to be here, we'll be able to work continuously on the testing. As you see, our business owners, they've created those two tasks. They actually applied me on the top of that, so I need to review what is going on inside. And just want to make sure that you also catch that the test cycle planning team, this keeps our iteration of test cycles aside of CI/CD process. Maybe not aside of the entire CI/CD process, but aside of development and some other ongoing initiatives. You've got the test cycle can be different team, and this can help you with trackability. So Epic, we've got a warehouse area. I can go inside. I can see, all right, Rafał indicated 3 areas where he thinks that it is important to test, especially. So we're going to run automatic testing around this area. And in sales area, we're going to do customer creation and credit collection. As you probably saw over the Jake screen, there is a potential danger. Microsoft is deploying some package on that functionality, so we want to check that. As a test manager, my responsibility now is to go to executive automats, build the scheduler, and as a best practice, we always take the same name. So this is going to be test cycle 55 with a Gantt again. Results can be stored in DevOps, or then we can use the Power BI to overview all results, but maybe let's keep this aside. Based on what Jake based on Rafael and Matt outlined area, I'm just adding here the processes. So I'm filtering for AP, AR, and warehouse. So all processes needed. I'm taking them all. Of course, I can select only published. So we're going to test those which are ready for testing. Next, and OK. We've got the list, and we can activate the execution. So we need to wait for the results appropriately. When there are error messages and warnings, we're going to be able to make a triage around that. Of course, right now we can't wait. I mean, we could wait for 20 minutes, but we know that your time is precious. So precious. In that case, what I will do, let's imagine that we are with the results already, and I can come back to the test cycle to inform the stakeholders what is going on. In Rafael's area, there were no errors, 50 by 50 successes. Please take it further. So Rafael actually, due to the fact that he has no potential impact, there is no error messages around his section. I will just bring back to this task. Just to bring back to him this task, so he can confirm by changing the state to done on that area. On the warehouse side, we see that we had some error messages, so we can inform about the results that there are some error messages, two in process 156 and 155, and there are 48 successes. And when I'm informing Mateusz about this event, that we had some error messages, of course, I can inform him that a specific script failed. So let's imagine that throughout our execution, we had specific test case which ended with warning. If I'm gonna give Matt the possibility, give Matt the link to the specific script, he'll be able to use this functionality to create work item automatically from executive automats. So I can just notify him, Matt, there is a problem. Please take a look at that. He knows, all right, that's actually a critical process issue, so let's create a work item. And then this can be automatically reapplied to developer, and developer can start working on this specific issue. So there is a possibility to integrate DevOps and executive automats very intensively. In that case, where we are doing this simplification, I can click Save and Close, and I can bring back this topic to Matt. So Matt can give us some information if it is actually critical or not. And if it is critical, then it can continue.
And now I just need to verify, right? What were these errors? Why the scripts failed, and if these are actually very important processes, critical processes, then I need to actually give this back to Bart and let him know that we need to develop a fix. We need to fix the issue, because we cannot deploy the update with these errors onto production. So what I will do is I will just put in DevOps a comment that these are critical and we need a fix. And I will just ping this back to Bart in DevOps so that he gets a notification and he knows that there's actions to be taken.
Exactly, and coming back, and as you will see, I'm notified by Matt there was a critical fix, need for the fix, so I can create a new item. So this will either I'm going to use this integration with executive automats, or I can create here an issue and call it hotfix for process 155 and 156. And with creating that, I can apply our developer, and today we got a Matt Hatter as our developer. So Matt can take the development hat and continue bringing the hotfix.
As you can see, all that I needed to do was put on my developer hat, and now I'm a developer. So I will take a look at these bugs, what happened in these processes. But as the test manager has given me all the information that I need, and he's actually provided me also the links to executive automats, which will be super helpful for me while I'm developing the fix, because I'll be able to use the scripts that were recorded there to test continuously when I'm developing the hotfix. So now I've done that. I've fixed it. I can switch the status to done, and I can actually create another item under this parent, because right now what is needed to be done is this needs to be retested, because I've tested it, but the test manager has to test as well and confirm it, and then the testing team also needs to rework on the scripts, because there may be some differences. So retest and rework the scripts. I'll just create such a task, and I'll assign it to Bart to please deliver that. And I can click save and close, and we've got it.
Exactly. And now the test manager is informed that throughout the testing cycle, we had the problem. Developer took it. Developer used test automation to find the solution. The solution is there. The hotfix was applied. Then we need to retest. The retesting, when it is completed, it also needs to rework the script. So another action. When we are reworking the script and we were adjusting the script that it actually reflects the new situation, the hotfixed process, we can tell, all right, the test cases are adjusted. And we can apply here, of course, the link, so everybody will know what exactly we were checking and retesting. And we can correct this as status done. When this is done, we've got actually most of the things completed. Now we can move up. We can see the warehouse. All right, so it was tested. Everything is green. So I can inform once again Mateusz as in the case as a business area warehouse owner, and I can inform Matt all is good. Test cases are corrected, and there are full successes from the adjusted execution. Now,
perfect. Now I can just give you the green light for my area that everything is good, and we can move on with the update.
Exactly. And thanks to that, this specific area is also, let's see, it should be highlighted in the green as well. Yeah, we've got all green. The tests were applied. Now, as a test manager, I have to react and inform the program manager. Jake will do that for us in the background. As I'm telling to the program manager that we've executed all necessary tests, everything is ready. We can deploy the updated version, the one version policy to the production, because we don't see any danger. And this gives me a full trackability. This is test cycle 55. You can build for you a custom query, which will bring us all previous test cycles. We were doing that for practice for you to have fluency today with the change of the roles. Every of those test cycles, they've got description, they've got information, the races, they've got tasks which were created. So if you're going to follow that direction and you're going to apply all necessary procedures, you'll be able to make sure that the high quality code is only applied to the production. Of course, this is just a tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other things we can introduce to make it more organized. But with that basic approach, if you don't have plan how to embed test automation, including Azure DevOps, Executive Automate, or RSAT, you can combine that and simply use it for the CI/CD process. And now I think this is the best moment to tell a little bit about the certification program about Executive Automate, if you'd like to try it or start the trial around the test automation.
Perfect, thank you, Bart. So we showed you the tool, we showed you Executive Automates, we showed you how you can work with the business to speed up the process of test script creation, and also we showed you how you can leverage Azure DevOps to facilitate the communication on the project. And now I'd like to just tell you a few words about our certification program. So we developed this simply to make our end user training process better and optimize, and to make sure that the trainees get all the practice they need to learn the basics of the tool, the fundamentals. And this is what the certification is about. We use it in our end user training, but we also offer it on demand, so you can take it at any point, just going to our website and signing up. It costs €100 for the first level, but we also organize these free waves every quarter or so. And this is just pure hands-on practice. You go through some tasks that imitate a job of a day-to-day tester, and going through these tasks, you learn how to use the tool and how to use the various features of the tool that are helpful in your day-to-day job. So this time we will have extended registration for this, because as you can see, you've got time until 12th of May to register. We've got some holidays coming up next week, so we want to give everyone a chance to sign up for this. And so the certification wave will start actually on Monday afterwards, and there's only 30 spots available, so make sure to save up yours. The course takes around 6 hours to complete on average, so you won't need a whole lot of time, but yeah, you will have 7 days to complete that. So we've posted the link on chat here. You can sign up with this. And with that being said, let's move on to the Q&A section, and let's answer some of your questions. We've had them come up already on the chat, so maybe we can start from the beginning. So first we had a question from Joe, and it was about whether the product will also work for D365 sales and marketing. Can you answer that, Bart?
Yeah, sure. So the product right now is simply focused a lot on finance and operations, and all of our technicalities and the business logic is focused on that to make the simplest possible execution on finance and operations, so-called finance and supply chain management now. The sales and marketing CE is not yet fully handled. You can definitely record some test cases and do test automation around it, but it will be not so seamless experience as it is in finance and supply chain management. The improvements we're going to do, because we are doing that continuously, they're going to be noticeable intensively around June, July this year, where we're going to introduce a few new features dedicated to other platforms. Indeed, that's actually a nice starting point, because the test automation we were doing that for finance and operations. But thanks to that, we are a web-based platform. You can actually automate everything which is web-based and then extend that with some API requests. Of course, the other websites, they don't have, as mentioned, the seamless experience, but there's a lot we can do with this test automation.
Perfect. Let's put on another question here. Jake, you want to read this? Oh, you're muted. Let me maybe unmute.
Yeah, I'm good
now
now,
I
I think.
hear you.
Yeah, so does your app have visibility to ISV products installed on top of FNO? And this is a good question, Bart. I think it's relates to the last topic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, regarding its visibility, if you're asking that we don't have, I mean, we are present as a module. No, like the whole executive automats technicalities, the whole server side, and the mechanism, the logic is sitting outside of Dynamics, so you're not installing anything on FNO side. There are some extensions, of course, when it comes to security creation. We have to create a separate module which is called security setup wizard, and you are deploying this as deployable packages. Although we are available on the market source, app source for Microsoft solutions, but these are just profiles. We are actually trying not to install anything on your Dynamics, as keeping it secure. We don't want to simply create you some side problems due to extra packages you have to deploy. Aside of
It's
those,
I think
yeah,
this question is mainly around whether that the tool will work with testing anything that they have on top of FNO, so some ISV
yeah,
products, extensions, customizations. And the question is, yes, it will work if it's web based, like Bart said. We shouldn't have any problems creating scripts and using them there.
yeah. I think that that's actually the approach to this question is, will it work with any ISVs? They
Yeah.
need to be web-based is a key aspect of it. But if they're web-based, we'll be able to reach out to it and test them. But as Bart had mentioned, is outside of FSCM, finance operations, etc. It's not going to be nearly as seamless as it will be inside of that program. So it's something that we encourage you to take a trial and test it out. And we can, it's web-based. We can do it. We just haven't told our tool to do it yet. So I think that's kind of the approach to that.
Yeah, quick answer to the question from Srividya. What tool are we using here? We're using Executive Automats. And let's jump to another question from Sazid. And it is, can the report generated by the end user be modified?
Be end user modified. So the report generated, can the end user modify it? I assume he's talking about the
Yeah.
documentation report here.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the day of the reportings,
well, to continue on here, it says to be used as AB metadata, like to include test environment, virtual user comments, etc. And that's included in the documentation, that stuff. So it doesn't even
when
need
it
to be
comes to
modified, right?
documentation, yes. I mean, if you think about the report that you create from Dynamics, that's a separate story. But indeed, when you think about creation of report that is an evidence of testing, indeed it has a token, it has the virtual user and the system definition, so all of those informations are there. You can actually publish these reports as the PDF, so they are not modified. You can't modify them anymore. They are simply documents, unofficial documents. So
Or as Word, where you can
that's
modify
true,
them.
but
Yeah.
the documentation within EA is not modifiable, let's say.
Yeah.
But we are actually thinking about adding a feature for a client that's requested this, so that in the future they may be able to actually download the report, put some modifications there, maybe to suit this towards a particular company's needs, and then upload it again and just publish the documentation, so that end users can access this documentation in a way that the company wants, and not in the standardized way that we provide out of the box. So maybe let's jump to another question, because we're running out of time, and I can put the one from chat here, and maybe Jake, you can read this out.
This is referring back to the previous question, which I think we answered in the second stanza of that, where we were talking about ISVs and the visibility, and it's just saying, I think the question is, will it test processes that are not standard to D365 functionality, so like a ISV process or something. And I think we touched on that as, yes, if it's web-based, EA can reach out to it, Executive Automats can reach out to it and test it, as we had mentioned. Yeah.
Exactly, and the ISV in this case, if this is like a your module, if this is a module which is installed from third party in Dynamics, everything you can assume that everything what can be manually clicked in Dynamics, if it is included, can be recorded and played back, and then can be worked with all of those functionalities we were discussing in a simple way.
Yeah, here I think we have a nice question from Martin. Can you give business users only access to certain parts of EA, maybe only certain projects, and exclude areas such as settings? This is about
Exactly.
the security
Management.
permissions within EA.
Yeah.
Bart, can you answer that?
That's possible. You can distribute different access level, so you can create a business user which will have access only to recording test cases, so they will be not able to touch any settings. They will have just access to recording test case in a certain project by using the groups. So you can have different scripts for sales, different for PSA, some project automation services, and for on purchases side. So we can distribute that access level and then make sure that nobody will read data which they shouldn't sort of have knowledge about them.
Yeah, from a test project management aspect and working with customers, that this is actually something that is quite key for customers and really appreciated, is being able to basically simplify things for their users who that they don't want to give them the chance really to make any mistakes. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Okay.
We had also
we don't have any questions at
Pradeep
the
had a
moment.
follow-up, I think, regarding the AB, and I think he was referring to Automated Boost as a second product for automated testing for highly regulated industries. And that's why I was thinking about his question.
Mhm.
And indeed,
Right.
the Automated Boost doesn't have this functionality yet, as this is we've got a second product called Automated Boost, which is having some GXP functionalities around the pharmacy industry, and this has different release cycle comparing to the executive automats. We have to follow all procedures, SOPs, and so on. So the AB will have some more data in the reports that are printed, and indeed, definitely, the Automated Boost reports which you print, they are non-modifiable. Because we treat in Automated Boost the reports as evidence of testing. So definitely the functionality what Matt was mentioning regarding modifications will be for executive automats, because the customers from executive automats, they want to modify reports. On the other hand, we've got different stories and different industries to work with, indeed.
Thanks for clarifying that part. Yeah, that's good to know. Is for the highly regulated pharmaceutical, defense, etc. industries. Yeah, that's a separate product that we have. That's we're not really thinking about modifying those documentations. They're allowing them to be modified because it's not a business case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Doesn't seem like we have any more questions, so I think we should wrap up. Once again, highly encourage you guys to sign up for the certification. It's a really nice way to learn the tool and learn some basics of it. Also, we highly recommend getting sign up for the free trial. We have a free 7-day trials where you can also do pretty much the same. So play with the tool as much as you need. Connect all your different environments. Create some scripts, some test cases. Play with them and see how easy it is. And you can sign up with this link on that you see here on the screen. If you see it, I'm not sure you see it. Maybe now it's better. Yeah. It's visible better. So yeah, thank you very much for attending,
Right
guys.
on. Yeah,
it was
thanks,
it was a
Bart,
nice
Matt.
one. We did this this role plays, something new, something different. So hopefully it was
made sense, I think.
educational,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.